tender processes were flouted, there was a breach of delegation of authority, there were private meetings between the companies.
Either it was a gambling addiction, either it was a drug addiction, or it was simply just plain greed.
Mazars is an international, independent and integrated partnership operating across 73 countries across the globe. Within South Africa, Mazars has a footprint spanning 12 offices across the country, offering a broad range of services ranging from your traditional accounting, audit and tax services all the way through to your business advisory services, which includes forensic services.
My name is Christus Snyman. I'm the head of Mazars Forensic Services. The most important services that we provide is forensic audit investigation services relating to white-collar crime, which is deemed as fraud, theft and corruption. We also provide anti-corruption consulting, litigation support, business intelligence, and in addition to that, we've got a fraud hotline. Mazars Forensic Services operates on a national basis, and Mazars having a national footprint, this enables us to do an investigation on any part in South Africa. We can also call on the expertise of internal audit, IT specialists, as well as the broad base of accounting specialists within Mazars. In South African law, fraud is defined as the unlawful, intentional making of a misrepresentation that causes actual or potential prejudice to another. There are three factors that we need to look at. Firstly is opportunity, second incentive, and third attitude of the person involved. An opportunity to commit fraud happens when there is a lack of internal controls, lack of policies and procedures, and a breach of security. This person will take advantage of these lack of controls, policies or procedure, or breach of security to commit the fraud. In my experience, I'd always find that there was an incentive for somebody to commit fraud. Either it was a gambling addiction, either it was a drug addiction, or it was simply just plain greed. Attitude plays a very big part in someone's motivation to commit fraud. You would always find excuses. I've just borrowed the money. I need to provide for my family. They always need to justify their actions. A recent global fraud survey conducted by Crow confirmed that 77% of companies in Africa were affected by fraud, 30% were affected by corruption, and 86% confirmed an increase of fraud and corruption. Globally, Africa has the highest incidences of fraud and corruption. Of the perpetrators surveyed, 41% were in senior and middle managerial levels.
My name is Kieran Madaf. I am a Director for Forensic Services and head up the Gauteng practice. The common usage definition of corruption is the giving or receiving of direct or indirect compensation to whom it is not due, for doing something that they should do or for not doing something that they should have ordinarily have done. The most prevalent forms of corruption are bribery, illegal gratuity, manipulation of the tender process or a sporting event, and kickbacks where a portion of the contract is paid for securing that particular contract. Corruption manifests itself in many ways. Here are some of the indicators or red flags. Africa has got a bad reputation for corruption. Similarly, South Africa falls into that same category and has its own challenges with regard to corruption in the public sector. South Africa has introduced stringent legislation in the form of the Prevention and Combating of Corrupt Activities Act to combat corruption. Section 34 of the Act imposes obligation on any person in a position of authority to report corrupt activities for amounts involving 100,000 or more. Investors and business alike must understand that they are protected in terms of stringent legislation which is in line with the Organization for Economic and Cooperative Development and the 10th principle on the United Nations Compact. You know, it goes a long way in alleviating poverty in the country. So basically you need the legislation, but you need compliance and you need enforcement. And together with compliance and enforcement, it will make this piece of legislation the most effective piece of legislation in order to combat and mitigate fraud and corruption. I'm excited about the legislation as it provides a mechanism for each and every individual, both in the private and public sector, to report acts of corruption so that they can be investigated and those perpetrators can be brought to book and we can live in a society free of corruption.